What seems different to me, Byron, and disabuse me of this notion if I'm wrong, is that in the past, there were a lot of companies, maybe even cloud companies, SaaS companies, that would start off serving small and medium business, but their real ambition was to serve big enterprises. And so they'd grow up into that. But right now, when I look at Stripe, for example, it's a monster. It could be public. It really super serves small and medium business and gives them some capabilities, even that enterprise hasn't had. And there's a huge potential market there if small and medium businesses really lean into digital transformation, and they can, because the capital cost isn't as high as it was before the cloud era, right?
John, you're absolutely right. When I started a cloud business as CEO years ago, half of my dollars went to hardware and software purchases just to build our application. That's not needed anymore. And the playbook often is for these businesses, start at the high end of SMB or even the mid-market, and then try to work your way up. And so Stripe themselves, who you mentioned previously, they serve Shopify, among others. Shopify's $200 billion or so in market cap now, certainly well beyond SMB, and yet they start small. And so you see these companies, Canva is another great example of a business that can serve individual consumers, yet all the way up to the high-end enterprises. Databricks and HashiCorp can start with light downloadable versions and test and freemium type models where engineers can test it and then work their way up. And so we're seeing the friction being taken out of these sales processes. We're seeing expensive sales reps no longer needed, and we're seeing very discerning customers and often sole proprietors that can make purchase decisions, implement cloud software quickly, and get time to value lightning fast. So the armies of service implementation consultants and hardware vendors and licensed software vendors are frankly no longer needed.
Now, I believe last year's #1 on this list was Snowflake. It's gone public now, so it's no longer on the list. But talk to me about valuations. We're just talking about Gusto, number 25 on this list. Its valuation now about $9.4 billion post-money after this Series E that they just announced. What do these companies have to do to justify those? Is it an international growth story? Is it going deeper into vertical areas that they serve, which is also what Gusto seems to be doing with its embedded payroll and other services, tax services like that?
So I'll scoop the news that we're going to release online at the top of the hour in 40 minutes, which is that for the first time ever with this list, every single company on this list has a $1 billion plus valuation. And remind you, these are all private companies. And so the entire Cloud 100 list is entirely made up of unicorns. And there were several dozen that we had to leave off the list that were also valued at above $1 billion because the pool is so deep of amazing companies. And fundamentally, most of these companies are still servicing domestic markets, which suggests that there is that immense upside for two of the things you mentioned, global expansion and depth in their product suite. Many of those are adding financial services products. If you look at what Shopify did with their partnership with Stripe and other payments products, massive market cap was created through adding payments. You're seeing that replicated down the stack now with companies like ServiceTitan that are adding payments and seeing this massive financial uplift as their business accelerates. Toast in the restaurant industry as well is seeing a similar thing. And so these businesses are having much bigger outcomes and serving much bigger markets than we ever conceived of when this list started 6 years ago.
Wow. When every horse in the race is a unicorn, I don't know. Do we need the term unicorn anymore? Do we have to raise the bar for when you get a horn? I don't know.
Unicorns are all over this list as well. The top 10 at 10 billion plus, as you said, Gusto going 24 deep into this list at a valuation that now kisses 10 billion. It is just a staggering pool that in total is worth over $500 billion. Maybe. And we talk about the public multiples and the run up over the last year, but this is a milestone date for the private industry. It almost doubled last year alone, where we were at just over $250 billion last year. Now we've crossed the $500 billion mark for the 100 best cloud companies alone. It's absolutely staggering what's happening in the private markets.
Maybe we need a
lot of conversations ahead about the IPOs from this group.
Yeah, maybe we need a Pegasus designation now, horses with wings. Byron, thank you.